Okay, let's do this. Welcome, good morning, how are you guys doing? Hey Chase. I know we have a delayed start with this awful room setup, but I gotta focus on a few things here. Hi! I'm excited to do this class today. It's gonna be fun. We're going to add a little bit more patches to this little fabric we call Geographic Information Systems. Yeah. And the way I try to structure this, and I completely can confuse you, is we're going to do a ArcGIS Pro session on geocoding. Why? Because we did geocoding in the online world. Remember, we did upload an Excel spreadsheet and bang, everything, bling, 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 bling. Workflow managed perfectly fine. I want to add the more accurate, a little bit more complicated looking, but more accurate workflow in ArcPro. Yeah? And the reason why I want to do this is because I have way more control over the process and what type of location finding purpose my addresses will have. Yeah? So because not always a 100 Main Street is not always on top of the building, what we call a point address. It could be it's along the street somewhere, or if you have 100 missing, it places it somewhere where it believes Main Street is appropriate. It goes after the street name. So I have point address as the best hit possible. Then I have street address as the next relative element along the street associated with that range between, let's say, 100, between 0 and 100. And then I have street name, which could be any segment of Main Street. If you have like 5 blocks of Main Street, it could be any of those. Yeah? And then end up, in worst case, I end up with the place name, Fort Lauderdale. So where in Fort Lauderdale is Kyle's house? If you have no other legal description or address description on the place you want to find, or the location you want to find. So it's important to do this in ArcPro again, and we're going to investigate a few things here and show you the differences between one or the other. That's part of critical thinking when you look at data. Don't trust the data you receive. Probe it a little bit, be suspicious about it, see if you can find alternative information to support your, or not alternative, additional information to support your accuracy. An example we're doing today is you will see that, hey, geocoding is on top of the building, but the other method I show you is like somewhere across the street. And depending on what kind of study you might want to do, what type of work you're interested in, a few 100 feet of accuracy doesn't matter if it's Fort Lauderdale on a scale to, let's say, South Florida. And West Palm Beach and Fort Lauderdale are like just big dots on the map. But if you do stuff like this on neighborhood level, let's say you're in utilities business and every linear foot of material is thousands of dollars for, let's say, fiberglass, then you have a different opinion about this. All right, so first block we're going to do is geocoding. The process is known. We're looking just in a different application, different tool. And the reason why I'm doing this is because then you can make the choice which one do you want to use, the online world or the local world. It also depends what are the processes after you're done with putting addresses or similar elements on a map. That means we're going to take a look at buffers. We have done buffers before, little funny looking dots around a point, so circles around a point, and then we dissolve them. In the online world, we go back in Bro and say, hey, take a look at this. This is how this tool in Bro works. Find note on the side, depending on your licensing model in Bro. If you work from home, actually doesn't charge you credit points. The online world does charge you credit points. Then in about 90 minutes, we're doing some 3D fun. 3D technology has changed over the past few years, so I give you a tease with PowerPoint slides in between, what's possible, and then we are going to take a step back and say, well, in 10 minutes, what can we do? Because some of this awesome 3D rendering stuff and animation stuff takes a few days, if not weeks, to set up. And that's not the purpose of this class. We do have the licensing, so if someone of the, let's say, architectural infused people would like to do 3D renderings on rule-based models, sure. Thanksgiving week is perfect for that. Can't give you extra credit, I'm sorry. The 3D fun is going back to the idea of, hey, how do we do digitizing and editing? How can we move objects around or even delete them? Yeah. So small little repeat in a new field, and you realize that, hey, you can actually do 3D stuff on a 2D map and just visualize and render into 3D. Yeah? And I do this with two examples. One is on the campus. That's a classic example, as in let's extrude the 3D GIS, as in I have a 2D building footprint. Remember, we just digitized the top of the roof of a building, and then I assign a height to it. We already have done those steps. Create a field inside a feature class, type in 30-foot building height. We just have not told the software yet, hey, display 30 feet in height as like a 3D block model. Yeah? So not to take away all the excitement, but that's what we're going to do. For those who are in the site planning class, the fun part on this is I actually have Urban Plan in 3D available in GIS. So we're going to play with that a little bit to give you an idea. So if you are in the final phases of visualization for your team projects in 2 weeks, you actually literally can go in and play with this as well. And then we go back to basics of handling data, manipulating of data, breaking it down, deleting, selection, select by attribute, select by location, whatever we can come up with as tasks and ideas, depending on your project ideas. I have some extra data uploaded, so we can play with this. And it's like small pieces, repeat and repeat and repeat. And after the session is done, I will know what we are going to do in the quiz. Now, because there's small little things, and I want to make sure that we have enough time to play with this. I was asked by one or two students about, hey, what's part of the quiz so we can practice? Well, what did we do last week? We did last week online GIS with an emphasis on site selections, drive time of at least one site, if not multiples. Multiples is a little bit complex, so one site, drive time, reports, custom reports. So in terms of preparation of an online component for next week for the last quiz, I would take a look at sites, drive time, customized reports. Hint, hint, hint. I cannot be more direct. And for today, I'm not sure yet, but you will see probably the first part, geocoding and buffers. It's one of the tools and steps you need in workflow every day, over and over and over. So they're fairly easy to understand, but you gotta practice, practice, practice. All right, any questions so far? How's everyone doing? Like, I tell you what we're going to do in the next 3.5 hours, and everyone's like, oh my God, I want to have it done. All right, let's do it. All right, so if you go on Canvas, I put up some GIS data. And also what I did already is open up my Windows Explorer. And a folder, remember we have the folder GIS class 2019. Yeah. This is not what I wanted. Alright, so what I want to download, let me double clear my download folder for one moment. You can see I did download a few things here already. Yep. So clean elements so you can see this. So what I want is I want the special parcels new XSL. That's for the first step. I click on this. I want to have it download. Yeah, pops up here. And I can also go back and someone was ringing. This is your wife again? Alright, so also want to download the 3D fun zip. Just to have everything in one location.
How do we get our...
Oh, you went too far.
How do we get ours to look like that? Like when I go to files, my view is very different.
Because now it's your view.
No, mine just looks like...
Does it look like this right now?
No.
Oh, jeez.
Because you're in files, you're not in modules.
Aren't you in files?
No, I'm in modules.
Oh. I just looked at Kratos in file. Gosh,
Ah,
much better.
I'm so glad I can help you
I'm
early
so
in the
glad.
morning. Alright, so we did the 3D fun, we did the parcels. This is additional data. This is actually the data from last year for all the assignments and quizzes. So we're going to take this. But you also will see, it looks funny. It has this .gdb.zip here. Yeah. So the .gdb is technically a geodatabase, zipped as a compressed folder. Yeah. So I'll also click on this guy, download it. Okay. Now I close my canvas. So my download, I should have now three files. Yeah, the Excel spreadsheet and the two zip files. All right. So open up another window for my GIS class. I'm going to GIS class 2019. So I have them next to each other. Again, Windows Explorer fields could look different. I have here a preview window. Yeah, so you can actually change this here with the view. Yeah. But the process is the same, even if it looks slightly different. And the GIS class 2019 folder here to my left has pretty much all the stuff in there what we did before. Yes, of course I can change the lights. Is that too dark? Falling asleep? Better? No, that's better by contrast. Alright. So the reason why what I'm going to do is I want to keep going with this. Let's have one centralized folder and use it as a bucket. This is not the most elegant solution in data management, but it's this most simplistic and the most successful way to make sure that nothing gets lost if you, let's say, use a jump drive to work from a local disk and then do backup copies. Yeah? As in, if it's on your local disk in that folder, you're gonna have access to your data. Huh? If I open up anything else and I save something somewhere else, I'm gonna lose this. Huh? Again, we had this in the first quiz. Some folks open up their project folders in Arc Pro and saved it on their My Documents. Can give you points for what I can't see. Huh? So, another new step here. I want to do this step by step today. I want to put the the special parcels here With a right click, I just drag and drop them over there and say move. So they're in my GIS folder. And since we're doing like block-wise work today, I want to go back later and do this for the next block. I don't want to do everything in the beginning at once, so you actually have to repeat those steps multiple times. All right? So my bullet point list says now investigate. What did I just do? I downloaded data. I gave you data. It says special parcels new. You have any idea what's inside? Maybe addresses, because if you have a preview pane on the side, you see this. But what else do you have in there? Well, let's double click on it. I built this, so I trust it, so I can say enable editing. So I have here in the first row, my header, I have interesting things to look at. I have address in one field. We haven't done one field yet. We have had multiple fields. Yeah? Both works. Then I have an X, Y listed in latitude and longitude. Actually, longitude, latitude. Then I have the display X, Y. The reason why I have a display X, Y in here is because you can use a geocoding engine to get the process address to a point on a map, and the engine will give you different outputs. So this table is actually coming from a layer or feature class that has been geocoded before. The second tool I'm going to show you guys today is using those XY lat longs from a different process. Then if I scroll over, because it was processed earlier, it has these cryptical names with user underscore on it, meaning that was a user input before. But we know the structure of the data because we have seen this before. This is the parcel ID number for Broward County. This is the assessment year. Yeah? And then there's certain land values and other critical numbers we could use for real estate purposes. Yeah? Or just playing with GIS. Like, since when is the house active? Land sales versus land numbers. We're going to do with the assessed value. And then patterns you have seen before. This is coming from the same source. The address actually split in multiple fields. Both will work. Yeah? Both patterns. Full address in one or separate fields. So, you also, not unnecessarily unimportant, take a look at the amount of data you have in here. There's actually 29 data points. But you also can see here simply we have redundant dots, redundant locations, because of geoprocessing here you had multiple same addresses. Yeah? So you guessed right that those are actually the special parcels from quiz 2. Yeah? So you actually had 24 locations, 29 data points. Because they share locations with each other, on top of each other. Alright, so this is good enough for investigation. As Brian said, we have addresses in here, but we also have additional material in here. Alright, I can close this out. Alright. If I want to use ArcGIS Pro, what would be my next step? Open up ArcGIS Pro. So I did this. And I'm going to use a blank template here, or the map template, I'm sorry, not a blank template, map template. And I'll make sure that this location is pointing at my GIS bucket for the purpose of this class. So, first of all, I'm going to call it Geocoding Pro. And then I go here and browse to my location. On the C drive, GIS class, and click OK. That will ensure that whatever I do in this GIS Pro session right now, unless I change file paths, that this project is going to be saved and managed in my GIS bucket. So at the end of the day, when you close out your Arc Pro and close out all the applications you have open, wait a moment, plug in your jump drive, you technically can grab all your GIS data work and can take it home. All right? Any questions so far? Good. Click OK. All right, so let's clean this up a little bit. Again, there are a lot of little things on the side and the left and the right that might look slightly different from you guys. If I want to add data to my map, I can use the Add Data button. That's what I'm going to do. And I go Add Data to the map. And I'm going to find this directly through the file system. I'm going to take a look at this special parcels new Excel spreadsheet.
So you just clicked on Add Data after your map loaded, correct?
Yep. After my map loaded, I rearranged a few things so it looks pretty decent. Yeah. Don't want to look in this one. I don't deal with imagery right now. So I want to do map, and I say Add Data. Da-da. And then I go here straight with the file system. Go to my GIS class 2019. Open this up, and then you can see here, this is the folder right now my project is located in. But all of this is my bucket. So I'm going to find this special parcels new.
Just a quick question. So mine shows 2, and one of them starts, it's the same file name, but with like, I don't remember what this squiggle is called, and then a number sign. But yours
The
doesn't
tilde.
show.
The tilde.
Yes. How come
That case, if you have that wave,
don't click that.
I don't even have to look at your screen. Did you close Excel?
Nope.
Because that's a temporary lock on the file. So close your Excel.
Refresh it. Look at that.
Look at that. So if you happen to have Excel open, if I open this in Excel again, and I will do a refresh, this is what he was talking about. You want to avoid that. You don't want to have, I make this the cake and sandwich example. You have siblings? How do you avoid your siblings and family members to eat the last piece of cake from the table? You put a dip on it. Huh? That's unless, and then they realize, okay, fine, we're actually family, and they steal it away anyway. So you don't want to have two applications calling dips with on that piece of cake, aka your Excel spreadsheet. That works awesome. If you have young kids among friends, they cruise out so completely, and you still get that piece of cake. Double win. Scare the kids, get the cake. Cool, you can jump in right now. It's super easy. Find that Excel spreadsheet on Canvas, download it, open up Arc Pro. Put everything into the same bucket we used for the class. That's the steps we have done so far. Alright, so if I do a refresh again, that tilde thing, or the wavy sign is gone. Alright. Because I had Excel open.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so if that happens, if you see those twice with that wavy sign in front of it, your Excel is still open, you don't want to deal with this. Yeah? It's called a file lock. Alright, so I say open this one. So now, it comes in with this cryptic stuff. and it comes in with my worksheet. Yeah? That's my one worksheet I have in my Excel spreadsheet. Which is really cool, because you could have one Excel work file with multiple sheets inside, and you can reference through GIS into one or the other sheet. In case you have like multiple years of data, let's say MLS listings for 2018 and 2019, you can actually go in and say, hey, grab the 19 or the 18 version. Yeah? Unless you have them in two separate files. That depends on how you structure your work. Alright, so I'm going to click on special parcels and click OK. So what we just did is we edited a data table from Excel to our work. There's zero visualization on your map happening because there is no feature, no object in that table for you at this moment. That's the only Excel spreadsheet we are working with. Here, special parcels. But it showed here in the content, it shows here now as a standalone table. Now, if I click on this table, gently with one single left click, right click on it, and then say open, it pops up the way we have seen it before. So you see a standalone table to the left in your table of content. If you right click on this one and say open, it pops up this attribute table. And you can see again, we have address, XY, same view like we had in Excel before. Everything clear on that? Same page with me? Want to take a moment? You have all of that? Let's close out. On other note as well, if you click here, open again, it also says here 0 of 29 selected. Now, at the end of the session, we get closer to that. So, if you ever have, hint, 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 if you ever have a question in an internship or on the job, as in how many features are in your table or in your feature class layer, right click here, open, 0 of total n. 29 would be the answer in that case. Yeah? That's in features like row by row by row by row in that table.
Right click where?
Right click open here. Right click is your friend. In GIS, if you are looking for a specific function, right click might help you with it. Yeah? Alright. So, well, the process of what we're going to do is geocoding. As in, tell the computer or the software to take an address and put it on a map. Okay. How did we do this in the online world? We said add an item from my computer, and the software realized, hey, you're loading up an Excel spreadsheet. Bam, would you like to put this in a geocoding engine? Which fields would you like to use for addresses? Well, it's similar to that in Pro. Right click is your friend. It says display XY data. Don't click this. Don't. And it says geocode table. It also would say geocode table when you go to analysis and tools and toolboxes, and somewhere down there you find the geocoding tools and you find this. Yeah? A little bit too complicated for our beginning of the enterprise. Yeah. For everyone who is really excited about GIS, play with that toolbox. There are so many functions in there. It is mind-blowing and exciting. Alright, here right now. Right click is your friend. Geocode table. Not everyone will see this wizard. Yeah? some of you might see, go to the tool, and you're going to be like straight into a very complex looking but simply straightforward form. Let me demonstrate this with this wizard, step by step. We always can go back to the more complex and show you that. We also have enough time, I think, today. If the wizard doesn't work right now for you the right way, we just go one more step back and then redo it. Yeah. All right. Step 1, about your table. Look at your table to determine how many fields in your data do you want to geocode. We did this already. We know that we have the multiple fields from the prior exercise, but we also have a simple single field with the full address in it. So we're going to do the full address in a single field called address. Then, what locator should we be using? Well, there are going to be 2 locators available. We're going to pick the one from Esri, the other one is under construction. Step 3, mapping the fields. Remember, we had location fields and the field names in our table. We gotta connect those. We gotta say, this is the full address, this is the address field. Simply straightforward. Put it somewhere. Double check that we're actually dealing only with the US, because you could geocode Singapore as well, if you have the data for that, the addresses. Anywhere in the world, this works worldwide. If you want to do down under Australia, yes, we can do that. And then certain limitations. All right, let's hit start. Anyone unclear about the process?
So we didn't do anything then.
No. We just opened it yet.
What exactly are locators? Like address points?
Locators are, think about, you are going to take an address, you're going to cut the address into pieces, and the address locator knows how to cut and slice the address into pieces. And they're going by hierarchy models, as in the nation first, United States. That's the reason why we limit on the USA. Then it goes, let's say, by state, by zip code, by jurisdiction, by street name. And if existent, this house number, it also goes down to the house number and puts you down on a point address. So it's a big funnel, as in put the address on the continent, put it on a state, put it into a zip code, put it into a jurisdiction, put it on top of a building. And that technical term for the little gremlin in the computer is called geolocator. Or a georeference or geoengine.
And I know we spoke about this, but does this also do the function where if it has similar names or
Places, yes.
similar identification?
Yes. You will see I can even differentiate between the type of addressing in a moment. Where I can default just to a regular address, it even gives me postal routing codes and all that. You will see in a moment. And that's the reason why I said, the online world, you literally drag and drop in the table, and it says, it's good enough to throw it just on a map. This one gives you a little bit more buttons to tune in what you really want to do with it. You can just throw it in, or you can explicitly say, I want to have that type of accuracy and output level, depending on what you want to do. If I would go for 911 calls, I would want it to have the highest accuracy possible. If it's trash collection data by zip code, well, it's by zip code. I don't need to know if it's Main Street or Jefferson Street. It's in the same zip code. If it's sales data by zip code, yes, I don't only need the zip code. But if you, let's say for real estate, if you go MLS data, you want to know which of the houses and homes sold for what kind of dollars, you want to make sure that this is on top of the building that sold for $400,000 versus $200,000. If your geocoding is just doing the zip code, then you have a 200 and a 400,000 on the same location. That doesn't help you with your pricing. You want to know this is in the poorer neighborhood and this is in the higher neighborhood in terms of housing prices. So higher accuracy, at least in front of the street, under like top of the driveway versus top of the building, would be appropriate. give me 5 minutes and you will see this on the map. All right, let's do the start. Step 1, about your table. Well, I only have one table in here. If I have multiple tables, I could select. Here it says more than one field versus one field. If you don't know that yet, you can click here and it does the same thing. It opens your table. Did you see this in the back? Let me do this again for you. If you haven't investigated your data, there's still hope. You click on this button and it pops the table open in the background. If I would be mean, I would give you 2 or 3 tables. One would be empty and you have to choose the right one. But I'm not mean. Yeah? So, special parcels, one field. I'm actually recording here. Next. Everyone on the same page with me? Yes or no? This one? Input table of special parcels, as we selected earlier. One field. You guys have that? Got it? Okay, and then click next. Here we go, input locator. Mr. Kenny. There are different ways to use this. We're going to use the ArcGIS geocoding service. The RED geocoder, this is something I'm playing around with. It's not done yet. It's pretty much a replication of the other one with some more localized information. ArcGIS World Geocoding Service, and click next.
For some reason, mine didn't put that. I'm going forward.
You got it?
Yeah, I got it.
Everyone got it?
I thought you clicked on the folder.
Oh, everyone got it? Again, that step, ArcGIS Online is not asking you to do that.
It's already using it.
Because it's already using it. As in, you drop it into the cloud is using this. Yeah? This could be really cool because you can actually build something for one area, highly detailed, and for the other area you don't care. Yeah? You can create your own geolocator. Back in the old days, we would do that. Yeah? It's too much trouble. I actually did that for a research project inside a database for Texas. Built this whole thing just for the state of Texas. Don't care about Alabama or Florida. Researchers on Texas. Built this whole thing manually. Took like 3 days to render. Just to build it for all the addresses in the state of Texas. Yeah? Because there's different accuracy and cost involved. Because if you have a standalone system on your own little machine with 2 million data points, 36,000 locations every time. Think about it, if you could 36,000 locations 10, 15 times against online points versus you have a standalone, there's a cost factor. Yeah? So I blew out 50,000 points in one day and I decided I'm going to build this manually to save some money in the research budget. It's a proof of concept. So, all right, address locator, GIS World Geocoding System. Hit next. All right, so this is the mapping. This is, remember when we did online GIS, we found the physical address, we found physical city, we found physical zip. Right now in this process, we're saying we have one field only. A full address is somewhere in a field. Going to go to the data field and say address.
So if it was chopped up, if you had like one that had street number, street name.
Then I have to say in the first step that I don't want to have a single line input, like this one here. I would have to have 6 or 7 little steps here. Street number, house number, street name. It can go down to prefix and all that. We want to keep it a little bit simple. I think finding the appropriate 3 names of a address versus 1 is already good enough. Again, this is showing you the process. We can drill this down to 6 or 7 different tokens you have to match, but the risk of failure increases and that's not the purpose here. So with one field, there should be no risk. With 2 or 3 fields, you have a mapping problem already. I have like 1 or 2 students who did not match the addresses the right way, and then you suddenly, instead of Florida, Broward County, you had all the US listed because there was something going on. All right, so address, data field, click next. Now it asks me, how do you want to call that? Well, I just keep it like this, geocoded. What I sometimes do is I do actually a large GC as an example, if I want to rename it. Yeah, for geocoded, because it's getting longer and longer and longer names. For the purpose of the exercise, we keep the default name.
We have another prompt where it says, what location type do you prefer for address matches? And then it's another drop down menu that you don't have.
I might not have it yet. Let me check next. Did you see this yet?
Well, if I click next. Yeah.
Well, because you're in a different version.
So that'd be like
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, I don't know why I didn't have that. I played with this last night. So, if you happen to have on the other screen, let's go back. If you happen to get here a description of how would you like to have this placed, you see routing address or routing options. There should be also a address or house address. Please choose the house address. Address location. Routing is along the street. Address location is the top of the building. We want that top of the building. Okay? I'm surprised that I didn't get this here. So, let's go next. United States. If I click, let's say, Angola, the address I'm passing on doesn't exist in Angola. So I would get 0 results. So I click here on United States. Go down here and say next. So, depending on the version you have on your computer, you've just found out that there's discrepancy. This is the one, Kenny, I was talking about. Point of interest, look at that. I could select all these if I want to. Populated places. This is like if you go for census data. So many double clicks. Simple, gentle, left click only. One click only, Vasily. And for Red October. I click here on address. You could use postal as well, but we don't. So, and I click finish. Now I get an overview of everything this one is going to geocode for me. Here I have the category address again. This is kind of the summary of what I'm going to click and execute right now. Again, this might look slightly different from one of the other screen. Looks maybe different at home. The important part is you have an input table identified. You have the input locator identified, the pattern. This is pretty much one choice only. The important thing here is you are mapping the fields of the single fields type input, one field only, where the full address, in this case our address, is located. And all that is data management, put it in the right place, you can see where it's going to. And then some internal stuff, well, it's going to be United States, it's going to be an address. Then I click OK or run.
When you run this, does it consume your credits too? Because it's saying entering on top.
Yeah, it should consume because you're connected with your user.
When we run this right here, it consumes credits.
Yeah. That's the reason why we're using examples with like 100 or 200 data points instead of like a million addresses. Process is the same. Learning experience between 100 data points and 10,000 data points is 10,000 data points will take a long time. Yeah. All right. So geocoding completed. I got 29 matches, 100%. I might actually experience unmatched addresses or ties. As an example for a tie, if I have street directions in my local municipality, and I would happen to have 100 West Main and 100 East Main Street, and the data in the table was asking only for 100 Main Street. If they're in the same zip code, the software will tell you, hey, I have a tie. I don't know what you mean, if it's east or west of that street. Yeah? And it gives you a candidate ranking, point score. And you can go back in and make manual changes. Which one do you like more? Which one is the accurate one? Sorry. Yeah? For the purpose of our training exercises, we are not going to put rematch process. It's painful. Yeah? You gotta do this if you really will go and dig in depth in market research, and you want to make sure that you're really, really accurate on your locations. Personal preference, geocoding, and work like this behind the scenes. I do this 100% in Arc Pro. There was a question about, hey, if all the functions are the same, why don't I do this online? Well, I don't depend on an internet connection in this case necessarily, and I can do all my data management on a local hard disk. Don't have to deal with storage on the web. Don't have to pay for storage, and I have more in-depth, detailed control over the process and the tools I apply. Yeah. Again, if this is just throwing something on a map to visualize where are the last 10,000 customers from Disney World coming from, nationwide or even globally, good enough. Drop it, drag and drop it into the online GIS world. If you want to have a more detailed, localized or regional work done, I would go with Pro for future projects. And hint. Yes, please.
Basically what you just had us do right now is get these address points that we had in the Excel spreadsheet, geocode it to local. The same thing we did for the tests, similar. But
yeah.
Okay. Now the question is, we used up points, just being a little cheaper. Say for instance, I had uploaded the Broward County address GIS data point. Could I use it to match both of those tables together to find my point instead of me using the geocoding process table?
Yes, because what probably this locating engine does is using that address data points from Broward County, those 700 and something thousand points, as a reference. Remember, you can geocode everything in the world as long as you can reference the real world into the computer system.
Understood, but what I was saying is to avoid using the points, the credits.
For 100 addresses, you're going to spend, what, 10 hours to build a system that you use for 5 minutes? I would spend those 22 points credits. That's a trade-off. Again, how many times are you doing this process, and what's the amount of use for the process in terms of workload, like capacity load? I do this with multiple million data points. I try to cost minimize. For you in a class and doing this program for the next year, you have enough points, unless you really go in and say, hey, I want to have all the building permits for Miami-Dade County, 100,000 points, 100,000 addresses, whoop, and geocode them. Yeah? That is consuming your online credit points. But the concept, what we are doing here right now, you're completely on the safe side to actually run existing tools and don't waste time to build them. No? Just think about this. Sometimes the whole idea of eating out or delivery food services. Do you have the hour time to make the pizza, or are you calling pizza services and pay for the price to have it come to your house? Yeah? And while you're waiting for the pizza, you get the drinks ready for the game. So, is the game tonight? I don't know. Saturday? No idea. Yeah? So, there's a trade-off in those costs. 1 hour for a great self-made pizza and really more healthy versus order it, get 15 minutes for drinks, and then watch the game with the pizza on the couch. Yeah? But you pay other cost levels for the delivery. Yeah? So there's a trade-off. Here, the same thing. If you really, really, really need some accuracy data in a specific research angle for specific localized information, build this if you have a lot of data, or if you repeat that step over and over and over. Or if it's okay for display purposes or for proof of concept, I would not stay another week building things like this. It's a cost trade-off. I have personally, the example I gave you, 50,000 online points, I'm in a different licensing model now with SRE. I still pay 50,000 online points, but I don't pay the equivalent of US dollars on one versus the other one. Yeah? So, good question. Think about this. Comes down to what is your workload and how can you work this in a smart way. Yeah? If you think this tool is too complicated because it has 10 more mouse clicks, you also can take this, geocode it in the cloud, and then pull it from the cloud back down into your local map. We demonstrated this before. We can do this if needed. Yeah? Let me finish this step first. Yes, please.
One question. The 84,000 records per hour, does it make a difference? Because this is pro, so this is running on a local computer.
No, this is taking your data, and every entry is being shot into the cloud to the ArcGIS World Locator and comes back. So I have 91,000 on here. It depends on your speed.
My question is, does it matter how fast your computer is?
No.
No.
It's the internet speed, because that service is done in the cloud for you right now. All right? If you build it locally, yes, it depends on your local speed. All right, no rematch. And then I X out. There is no OK button here. It says geocode table successful. You also can go down here and you can see actually the same messages. Yeah? Sometimes it's helpful to just copy and paste it into a Word document to keep your notes. And click OK. So if I zoom out a little bit, get rid of my geographic map, a topographic map, I can see those dots. Yeah? And I can go in and say open attributes table. 29 selected. Yeah. All right. Any questions?
How do you close that table?
X marks the spot. Here. Close. All right. Do you guys actually see this? Let me change the base map. What did we say we did? Does this help you guys? Let me change.
That's the 29 parcels right there.
Yep, let me change this into something more bright for you. Is that better? Yeah. So these are the locations we just geocoded. Now, so if you zoom in, you can see, okay, they are not in the street, they're sitting right around the street or next to it. Yeah? All right. I told you guys there's a second tool I want to show you.
I feel like my data looks different than yours. I know you said the error. But is that why? Like if the scatter looks different? Like the grouping. They say like all 3 years on the street,
Yeah, you actually have the better result.
I have the better result.
Yeah.
So everyone's-
Remember, I did not get the routing versus the address point. You have the address point, so you should be actually really on top of the address.
Gotcha.
This is actually funny because I did this data last night and I got on this computer I got that example. So, so my demonstration purposes might turn out into a complete visual failure on my screen, but you get that success on yours. If I go here back to my standalone table, and I right click on it again, there's a function called display XY data. We also call that back in the days XY event. That was really nifty because you might get data from the field with a GPS location on it. Back in the days, the EPA would release the toxic release inventory, TRI data, where everything, when some company spills some chemicals or has gas release, they would give you a TRI report. You could download this as a text file and you could geocode it with that XY example. Yeah. So if I click here on the XY data, it pops up this form. Yeah. It's one way to do it. There was also in the analysis, no, with add data. Here, add data. There's also XY point data. Add XY point data from the map to the map. Yeah. I already have my table. If I do this, pops up the same form. Yeah. Again, same tool, different locations to execute. My input table is known, my special parcels. So now this is a smart as form. Not a smart form, it's a smart as form. Because it thinks it's really smart. It will go after the field names that are in your system. And we'd go and look for, hey, if I have an X field available, X maybe is actually my X coordinate. Now, if you call that coord X, it will not pick it up. If you call it Gustav, it will not pick it up. So it has like 4 or 5 BRE match patterns, like for geocoding. City. City is going to be picked up as city. Yeah? If you write the White House into the city field, that might not work. Yeah? So here you got to check what's going on. If it's lat long data, it's actually YX. So if you ever get lat long data pure in a table and you want to use this tool, you actually have to put it as a long lat X, Y. Yeah? For our context in the US. Everything here, you can do this in 3D if you want to. Put elevation in there. Coordinate system, we keep it. Lat long comes in, that's kind of standard. And click OK or run. And X out. So now in my example, because my geocoding engine did not ask me for address location versus routing location, my XY points in little white are right on top of my geocoded locations. But this one, they differ. So there's an example that they're not always the same. You should see actually spots like the red dots somewhere in the neighborhood and the white dots, in my case, only on your screen, along the street network. Is that the case?
I can see the
It's
run
kind of
button.
scattered. Like some are on point with this,
Yep.
some are.
Okay, in your case here, as an example. In your case here, the white XY is the original street address. This is your point address on top of the house. If you change the map, you will see that this is a building. Yeah. Let's take a look at yours. Excuse me.
So you can see the wind up in test, and I was trying to change.
Yeah, you have an offset here as well, so you can see this is along the street, and these are actually the buildings themselves. Yeah, because in the middle, and then just X out.
But then I can see the last chapter. I can't move it up. One's a
Small differences here.
Yeah.
So if you zoom on this one, clearly this is on the street in front of the driveway. This is the house.
Correct.
Huh?
I think a lot of us are the same.
Yeah, it looks good. You have the same like I do. You have this variation here. Yeah. So,
I like the button down today. Classic.
purpose of this exercise is to show you there are two different processes.
Question.
Yeah.
I'm not following it here, but what is the meaning?
Let me explain.
Okay.
Let me explain. So, purpose of this exercise now, you can see I have not even one example here that is different. Alright. So some of you guys has changed this here, base map. And which one could we use the most? Let's just select. All right. So I zoomed in one and changed the example. I saw this triplet here. You can see this here on Pine Island, and activated the take a look at what's in there. So, in my view right now, why did we do this? So, if I open my table again for the input, I have the address, I have the XY. Huh? I asked the computer to geocode my address. In my special case right now, the computer did not give me the choice between an address location or a routing location. It put everything on the routing location. And the reason why I can say that is it's along the street. When Google Maps was not completely perfect yet, it would give you the location here on the street and you would find the entrance to the property. Nowadays, Google Maps is so precise in detail that it actually knows exactly when you look at for Suite 200, it will tell you this is the building, you need to park right next to the building. It will actually give you the routing information into the property. Give me a moment to finish this explanation, please. So, what I did here is now I'm looking at the highlighted point here is 950 South Pine Island Road. If you zoom in and out for your map and you go closer, move, you might see an address point inside this parcel area. Thank you very much. Appreciate your work. So, the difference is here. I have first of all used two different tools, and I did trust that XY coordinate, that long, that it will be accurate. In my testing, the XY coordinate is along the street network. The epic fail right now in demonstration was that my geocoding did not put it on the top of the address. So yes, in the ideal case, your red dot should be here, on top of a building. Because you actually used a more accurate way to take the address and display it while referencing the real world. That's the process of geocoding. Have some engine do that referencing. And now that goes back to the idea is, if that geolocator, Kenny, if the geolocator is not well built or sloppy like this one right now, my result at a neighborhood level will differ by a few hundred feet. If this is the building of interest, and I wanted to know how far away it is from the street, I have a problem. So, if I look at this level, South Florida scale, I don't care if it's routing or address location. Right now, I'm looking at this and I've seen 29 locations allocated in Broward County. Again, that depends on your research question. What kind of focus do you have? What kind of story do you want to tell with your map? Or if you want to tell a story with the map, you might end up just saying the total amount of features we looked at is 29. Huh? Does this answer your questions? You had a question.
If zoom back in where you were earlier. If I had GPS coordinates on every tree you see just in that office park right there, would it pinpoint each?
Look at this.
Would it go down to detail of every tree?
Yep.
If I had the GPS coordinates of that tree.
Look, this is lat long data. Lat long data expressing a current location on a street for this address. That lat long data could be a buoy on a reef out in Fort Lauderdale, could be a top of the building, could be a telephone post, could be a telephone antenna, could be a light post, could be a tree.
Down to the foot? I mean,
Yeah,
what's the
because-
exact?
Because
Yes.
they're using latitude and altitude coordinates. So X and Y is
The
latitude.
accuracy issue comes through how detailed is your GPS coordinate. The $200 retail GPS finder you have for your hikes is probably not going to make it. Particularly, let's say if you're downtown Fort Lauderdale with all the skyscrapers and towers, because the signal is bouncing back and forth. If you have a unit with, like, say, a backpack, where you have the system actually has a backpack on you, and you actually literally have an antenna in your back, and you actually also have, let's say, base reference modules, as in sometimes you put a secondary GPS station on a tripod, and you know the exact location for that tripod, so you have GPS and terrestrial referencing, you get more accurate. Remember, when you have your phone on, your phone sometimes tells you, hey, activating wireless or activating Bluetooth will give you more location accuracy. Why? Because the GPS in your phone is not good enough to get the perfect location. But the next moment they get a wireless signal or even a Bluetooth signal, they have other additional ways to get you referenced. And yeah, there's a common case for urban forestry, all that. Same thing. If you drive around, you take a look at all the posts. The trees not necessarily depends who's maintaining them, but larger posts like FPL power posts or traffic lights, they always have this little tiny number at some point. Take a look at every post of a traffic light. You will see actually numbers depending on the jurisdiction you're in. Boom. It's an ID number. That means that location is referenced some way. Could be done with digitizing, as in zoom in as close as possible. I don't need the XY. I don't need the XY to find that tree. I could find it on the current picture and click on it. That's sometimes good enough. Or if I want, like, again, we did digitizing cars in our example. I could go in with trees, but I don't necessarily understand what's the size of this tree, because if you would do a tree inventory, you would measure it. You would take a look at it, how healthy it is. I've done this for fire hydrants. Fire hydrant survey, date, flash data, current pressure, current flow, put that in. And if the fire hydrant didn't exist in the system, they clicked on the map. For fire hydrants, If it's off by 2 or 3 feet, it doesn't matter because it's visually appealing. Yeah, you will find it. It's not underground. For underground work, what you guys nowadays do is you put magnetic bands, metal bands into the ground. Could be a PVC pipe, but you put actually a metal band on top so you can actually find it with the detector. So there's a huge sector for GPS tracking. There was a notion in the back.
No, I was going to say, so for parcel information and for real estate information, the more information you have about the county in your, I guess, model, the better it is for you.
Depends what you're looking for, yeah. You can get lost in that forest of data.
Yeah.
The reason why I keep saying depends on your research question, depends on your mission, is you don't need to have 1,000 different trees in terms of data sitting on your table. It's those 2 or 3 branches of that one tree you want to know. Yeah? And let me point you in more directions with that. Alright, so one thing we haven't done yet is we didn't save this yet. Save the project. Alright, I want to give you guys like a 3-minute bathroom break. So we take stretching the legs, getting refreshed, and we can tackle this one more next level.
You can't find the other way, you have the addresses there.
So if I zoom out a little bit, and I just take my geocoded locations, yeah, to make this a little bit more clean on the display. The next step what we have done is buffers. Yeah. Speaking of buffers, 5 slides. Huh? So if we have buffers, on top we have, this is the type we have done so far. Yeah? This is the most common element we have done, as in, hey, I have a bunch of addresses, a bunch of properties of interest. What about a mile distance around it? What about a mile distance around it? But hey, if they're close, dissolve the buffer. Yeah? Small little pictogram to give you the idea. If I have now a street or a set of streets and a buffer around the street, I can get off that worm-like thing. Yeah? Because it adds to the corner a mile and it circles around it. Yeah? Here's the street, a mile, circles around it. Same thing here. If I have a polygon or rectangle, in this case, I kind of get these smoothed out corners. Yeah? Why? Because this is the original corner, takes the distance and it circles around it. Yeah? Like almost like you throw an anchor, hold the line and you spin around it. Huh? Super simple concept. This is again the idea we actually practiced and used already. This is what I want to do again in Arc Pro. Different platform. Yeah? It's pretty much the same principle, but execute the tool from a different starting point. So, examples here. From the textbook, truck-free zones as an example. So you have different schools highlighted here. And you could say, okay, fine, within 1,000 foot of a school, you should not have trucks on you or consume them. Yeah? Same thing here. Green spaces near a school. You could select that one school and you say, hey, within a certain range, yeah, what are the accessible green spaces for me? Makes sense, huh? Well, there's a catch to that. One of the first tools we used in this class in the online world was drive time. Yeah? And this is an example from a study I've done a few years ago, as in accessibility to local parks. Well, not every park is accessible 360 degrees around the property. Makes sense, huh? Parks are sometimes fenced or gated. So you actually have access only through the entrance point. Think about like a zoo. Huh? Think about Universal Studios. The whole park has pretty much one big gate area. The typical entrance. Yeah? Fine, if your hotel is right next to the park, you might still drive 5 miles around the property to get to the entrance. Is your park in walking distance in this case? No. Yeah? So this is an example of different measurements. You can see here, the example here is the small little park, Manitou Park. Yeah? And in blue is the official access point. Think about 10, 12 little parking spots in front of that and you'll step out. Yeah? This part here is actually a 4-lane highway-ish street. And you can see slightly there's a gray-ish here, which is actually an irrigation canal of about 30-foot width. Yeah? And about 100-foot drop in elevation in between the backside, the west side of this park and this elevation. Think about a plateau. Yeah? So you also can see distance along the street or paths within half a mile are all the green points. From all the access points here, access points here, access points here. Example, if you live up here, you drive down the street, go down the ramp, drive this street, zigzag through the neighborhood to this park. Huh? It's not feasible. So every time now you think about walking distance to something, can you directly access this as the crow flies, as we say? Is a direct line of access to it, or do you actually have to circle around the property? Huh? Or a football stadium. Park in one side, but the football stadium has like 2 or 3 entrance points only. You gotta walk to the south or the north entrance. Along this radial distance. We also can see radial distance, they change here slightly because this is the center point of that park. Yeah? The black point here. Black line is from this point. Or is it from the park boundary? I just mentioned here the example. Do I measure from the point? Or do I measure from the boundary? At small scale, walking distance, it's going to be a huge impact on your discussion. How efficient is your coverage in parks? Look at that, the red area here. Look at that red area here. The city of Boise, back this example, they basically said we want to have a certain coverage, walking distance or within a mile. We want to have all our residents accessible to parks, any size of parks. They didn't use the GIS the right way. That slide here destroyed a lot of dreams. And then we actually came up with a model to say how many millions of dollars in property tax are actually generated by parks. I can do a lot of things with that. All right. Multi-ring buffers. That's a real estate thing, is it? Multiple rings around areas. Like this. Oh, this is my location. I have a 1 mile, a 3 mile, and a 5 mile buffer. Instead of your drive time. This is a site. This is great. And then you actually have the PowerPoint. Here's a target. Here's something else. What are you guys watching? So you can do this. Pool buffers is the example from the book. I present this here, as you can say, find with the different color gradient here, you can show how far away you are. Does this make sense? If you live here, you're a little bit in the desert, literally in the desert. Okay? That's about the visualization of buffers. Going back to Arc Pro, let's do some buffers.
Mine still has the dots, the white dots.
Well, mine too, but I just disabled them.
Oh, I thought.
No? Just for visual purposes. Alright. If I go to analysis, again, I click on my geocoded parcels here, geocoded locations, go to analysis. I can go here for tools, and you can see they're similar like we have seen in the online world. I can summarize, I can enrich, I can do some proximity stuff, do pattern analysis, but I don't see my buffers. For that, I click on Tools. If you're lucky, your favorites show buffers. If you're not lucky, buffers is an analysis tool. Yeah, so I can go into toolboxes, can find my analysis, and I find my proximity. Remember, in the online world, it's under proximity analysis. Yeah, we have buffers and drive time there. Well, here I have buffer and I have multiple ring buffer. They're slightly different tools using the same. I click on buffer. And I can go in here now. Input feature is my geocoded parcels. Geocoded. It comes up with an automated graded name. Yeah. Remember when you did this in online, you added up, let's say, buffers, and you put your initials on it. Similar process. And I can put in my distance. So the distance here is for one distance only. We can do multiple buffers, multi-ring buffers in online, which we're going to do in a second, so you see that, in one step. Now, here we need to use one tool and then the iteration of the tool. Like using a tool in a tool. So if I would say now I want to do 1 mile, and go here for the units. Don't worry about the method. If you're interested in the method, it explains it, what it will do.
What about linear unit?
Well, we do linear unit. You could activate the field, and then you would say, this is the field inside my table, inside my data. And you could go for each location with different distances. Yeah? You can say, hey, if this is, let's say, retail, geography. If I have a small neighborhood mom and pop shop, I want to have a 1/4 mile buffer for the mom and pop. If it's a Walmart, I want to have 10 miles. Yeah? So I would have a field I would call buffer distance, or X1, ABC. And I would say field ABC will have the distance for location 1, distance for location 2, distance for location 3. So you can actually do multiple buffers for different locations, if that is your interest. As again, let's say you have different levels of attractiveness or purchasing power, and a few smaller ones and a few big ones. You can actually scale that inside there. If you mix your data. All right, so we're going to use linear unit, 1 mile. There are different methods. Right now we're going to with the default, and to show you this here again, I can dissolve all the input features in a single feature, or I can use combinations of such. Right now I don't want to do anything like this. I want to have a no dissolve. I want them overlapped. If they're too closer than a mile, I will see overlaps. And run it. And hit OK. Yeah? So now you can see, just for playing with it, a mile is a lot, and it overlaps a lot. So, but that's okay. Didn't say I want to have this look sexy and awesome. I said I want to use that tool to present a 1 mile buffer radius. Anything, Chase?
No,
All right, let's do this again. It's deactivated. Tools. Might keep it as buffers in my favorites. Run the buffer. Say the input feature. Geocode buffer 1 automatically named. Let's do feet. What is the distance of 1/2 mile in feet? That's correct. It's 2640 feet. Yeah. When you do this multiple times, you know your steps. All right, 1 mile is 5,280 foot. We're taking half of that. All right, now what I want to do is I want to dissolve it. Okay.
What would the other one be used for? They're using the listed fields unique values.
Help is your friend. Dissolve features using listed value, unique values in combination. Any buffer sharing attribute values in the listed field carried over. I haven't done that in an applied setup. So, again, you can do a lot of fun stuff with these. You can include, exclude. They open up a lot of tools coming from the data table and drive the tool from the data, like the linear field. Linear unit versus field option. Yeah? You can combine that data later, but if you literally say for retail, depending on your size, below 5,000 square foot, you stereotype this is X mile only distance as a buffer versus 100,000 square foot gets the regional draw. I can do that in one exercise and have that mapped out. Would it make sense to visualize that? Not necessarily. But if I want to use underlying data as in what is in 10 miles from me, how many addresses as an example, how many households, how many schools, how many libraries, anything you can put on your system as different layers, I can now go and select up and down. Yeah? If I'm in, let's say, building a new development, and say, okay, fine, how many, infrastructure, common example, infrastructure. I would like to know if I build a new development here, if I have to repave the street, how many linear foot of street would I have? You can use that analysis and say, okay, everything in a half mile distance around will be repaved in next half year. So now you're also going, well, it's linear foot, but technically I need the area of that street. So you would actually use polygons for the street. As in that street here. Yeah. For routing and display could be just a line. But if I want to know how large that driveway is or how large that street section is, I would need to now hear the pavement area. And could calculate that with GIS. And then run this with my engineer and say this type of street, this type of square footage, yeah, this is $50,000 in pavement. So you can make that system as smart as you want to and how much time and money you want to spend into that. Or you ask your engineer and say, hey, I have a 30-foot street, 100 feet long, how much do I have to pay for that? But sometimes that knowledge is not available anymore. Fun fact, we did a digitizing project for the city of Wilmington, Delaware, years ago, where they came with big plotted maps, paper maps, put them on a big plotters, looks like a big plotter printer, like poster printer. You put that in, you scan those, you get them on the backdrop on your screen. You use digitizing to go with the streets and make sure that the real world matches up. That's what we call georeferencing. And then they called the old retired engineers and saying, hey, what's going on? There are wooden pipes in the ground. They literally had pipe made out of wood, not just out of clay and all that. As part of the infrastructure renewal project, we digitized all that work and gave them electronically back to the engineers. And they actually dig deeper in the history of certain neighborhoods and certain streets, as in, we have water in the system, but we can't find the pipes in the street with our detectors. Yeah? Like little pipe finders. We can't find them. Yeah, because they're wooden. There's no physical element to it that the system would find. All right. Anecdotal area array. Let's do buffers again. Tools. Go to favorites as an example. Input is geocoded. Buffers. Feet. 2640 is half a mile in foot. Yeah. I could use 0.5 miles. I just want to show you guys we can use this in a different pattern here. And I would like to dissolve this. So right now my expectations is like I would crack a bunch of eggs into the frying pan. Egg yolk gonna be my dots. Egg whites are going to mix over in one surface or partially in a surface. Yeah. This looks almost like the example we had in the quiz. In the quiz we had 2,000 feet. So in the quiz, this buffered area here would not touch. Yeah? So in this example right now, I have overlapping locations. If you count those locations, now the red dots, you would see 24 red dots. I didn't count it, but I'm recalling the exercise from the quiz. Yeah? I would see 29 locations as 27 dots. Huh? But in this example right now, I see one because it's contingent here. See? How many buffers do you see? One. I see one dissolved buffer of 24 markers, but 29 locations. Yeah? The red dots is not the answer. The answer is this. Yeah? Again, you're dealing with different layers. Up and downs. Yeah. James is like, yeah. So, these are my locations. This is the buffer. Alright. Let's do multiple buffers. Anyone wants to do multiple buffers? Chase is like, no. Chase wants to go home at 10 o'clock. Alright, multiple buffers. The complicated part for multiple buffers in Arc Pro, it's pretty plain and boring. Go to Tools, Toolboxes, find my Analysis tool, find my Proximity toolbox, and go down here to Multiple Ring Buffers. Analysis, Proximity, Multiple Ring. You can see here that icon here is a script. So if I go to Multiple Ring Buffers, it looks the same. Input feature is the same, geocoded locations. Now it changes to multiple ring buffers. Now it says distance. If I hover over it, the list of distance. Yeah? So now I can type in, let's say, let's try 500 first. Ah, trick me. With tab, yeah. Again, this is when you decide at 11 o'clock to go to bed rather than do that buffer thing. As in, I know buffers. Alright, so tab. 500 type in, 1000 type in, 1500. In the old school ArcGIS, you would click a plus button and list it. Huh? Alright. Most embarrassing moment in the career this morning. Perfectly fine. Hit OK. Alright. So now these little ducklings, ugly ducklings, are now multiple ring buffers, and we can now use symbology in a very complicated way to make those different changes and different color settings. Yeah, if you go to appearance, symbology, unique values, at all of them. Yeah. We could change all of these. This is the most annoying feature in ArcPro. I'm not going to change that on purpose. Because you might want to enjoy that online version. Yes, please.
To create more fields for distance, you have to hit tab, you said?
Hmm?
That's not working on mine.
You are in buffer. You gotta do toolbox, analysis, proximity, and multiple buffers. Now you have to. Alright. So what you basically have to do here, if you want to change the symbology, unique values, go to distance, add these distance features. Yeah. And have changed the order how it's displayed. You can see something we don't really like. Get rid of those guys. Remove. And now it killed mine. Perfect. Yeah. Jesus Christ. That's what I don't like about multiple buffers here. Yeah. I destroyed it. Yeah, I didn't take it. Let's do it again. One more time. Multiple ring buffers. Distance is like 500. Tab 1,000. And a 1,500. Foot distance fields, no. Dissolve option, no overlapping. Okay, run. Yeah. So if you zoom in, I can go now in and change all these behaviors, can rearrange the level, how to solve this. This is a little bit tedious. Yeah? I want to do this in online and see how fast and easy online is in this case. Anyone? No? Nobody wants to do it online? Fine.
Do it online.
Alright, let's do it online. Friedrich Schiller. Alright, let's see if Friedrich actually has this already in place. Yeah, so you will have this data available. You don't have to upload it right now. Huh? If you go into your quiz folder, and Kyle and Isabel, do not delete anything because I haven't been creating it for your makeups. So if you go to your quiz folder, you should see the special parcels here. That's the thing we just geocoded in Pro today. Yeah? I will click on this guy and say open a map viewer. Special parcels in your quiz folder. Remember you uploaded the special parcels? Yeah? Going to get those locations here. Yeah? If you also look at this, Lily, this is coming back to your question. Here, this is Pine Island Road. Remember, my dots have been aligned all on the street. These are the address locations as it was supposed to be. Yeah? So on my screen, you should have seen a point here to give you the differences between those points. Alright, let's repeat how to do a buffer on the online world. If I go to Analysis, use Proximity, create buffer, take special parcels, change to feet, and type in 1000 feet. Alright, here this is the very important part. Where am I going to save this right now? I don't want to save this in my quiz 2. Yeah? I want to save it somewhere else. And I want to make sure that the name is really distinct from what we did in the quiz. Huh? So I'm going to save this just in my main root as Friedrich Schiller. My name. And I call it buffer 1 underscore initial. Yeah? To make this really distinct from what we have done in the quiz exercise. This is just one more repeat of how to do a single buffer for analysis. Alright, then I click OK. Again, I did not dissolve. I just said 1000 foot buffer, but I made sure that it saves in a different location. Alright, while this is running, and it's going to take, will look completely funky.
How did you do that again?
Analysis, proximity, create buffer. 1000 foot. Made sure that I have distinct location and name outside of my quiz folder. Alright? So now I got my little baby buffers here all over the place. They cut a little bit, they're separate. Single buffer, one distance. Alright? Purpose why we went back into the online GIS world was multiple ring buffers. Alright, so let's do this from the beginning. If I want to do multiple ring buffers, I click Analysis, I click Proximity, Create Buffers. Make sure I select my spatial parcels. I keep saying spatial. So special parcels. Here it says to create multiple buffers, enter distances separated by space 235. So what we're going to do is feet 500 space 1000 space 1500. Yeah, no tricks with semicolons, commas, or tabs. I can take a look at options. Yes, you could overlap, you can dissolve, you can do fancy disks. We don't need that. Let's just do overlaps right now. Will look crazy, but I encourage you guys to come back to this tool and play with options. Yeah? And I call that multi-buffer 1 because it's the first example. And my initials, so I don't have distinct names in the system. And click OK. Run analysis. That will take a moment. So, again, same thing like in Pro. The box, the machine, the cloud. They are going on now taking buffer after buffer after buffer and location after location and running this. Yeah? And putting it out will look like a crazy pile. Yeah? But the process is the same element than on Pro. Catch is now here, I'm running this against a service in the cloud. Cost me maybe 0.3 credits. Huh? But if I don't have Arc Pro installed and want to solve this problem, I want to explain a few things to someone and have just a web browser and an internet connection, this is the way to go. Huh? So now I can take a look at it. If I clear up a few things from the back, look at that. It's even so smart. It gave me different gradient color already. Not the pain going through symbology and changing things and blowing up the system and all that. So that's why I say, oh, this is really cool. This is really easy. Huh? There's a disconnect, I think, between a very complex and detailed, or not necessarily complex, but very detailed workflow in the tools in Bro. You saw it with Geocoding versus ArcGIS Online. Huh? The reason why I expose you to both is because you might have, based on study projects and or personal interest and or professional work line, different levels of exposure you need. Yeah? So not all the tools I will expose you to Arc Pro, but you get the message. Everything that looks like super easy and super fast in online, I can make my life more complicated in Pro. Huh? For those who are Mac users, you might abandon after this class Pro completely and say, hey, the market research piece I need to do is in online available. Huh? So we might actually change a few things for that. Okay, we're doing good in time. All right, let's save this map. Make sure that you take a look here at more options and save layer. Because you generated this with an analysis process. You really want to make sure that you saved it and double checked. Same thing here with the buffer 1. Go down here and say, let's save layer. So really make sure, really tell the system, make sure it's written as a record somewhere. And I can save my map. And I call it multi-buffers. Add a tag as, let's say, test. Yeah. And save it not in my quiz, but somewhere else, let's say in my root directory. Multi-buffers underscore my initials, please. Save a map. Alright? Any questions? Alright, by now, what we did so far today is we went into Arc Pro. We used an Excel table. We used the addresses provided in the Excel table in a single field to geocode a single field address. Put that on a map, and then demonstrated that we can actually use a different tool, the display XY event, if we have lat long XY addresses, coordinates. Those lat longs can be anything you can find in the world. Could be the last locations of Kyle going fishing and catching something. Could be the example Jeff gave for trees as an inventory. Could be trees in a park. Could be bicycle stations you liked recently. You ever been on those electric scooters? Yeah? Like a Lime scooter?
Yeah, they go way too fast.
15 miles per hour without helmet.
It's unnecessary.
That's okay.
Oh my god.
It's,
I'm saying, like, I love it, but like, I've seen so many crashes.
it's very dangerous if you go shopping with them and put your conference food there. But however, the principle is there. What you're going to do is you open up your smartphone app and you're taking a look as in where's the closest location for a scooter. Well, the scooter shows up on the map and is based on X, Y, lat long. Yeah? Same thing. So all the locations in that given second right now of all scooters in the system are XY coordinates I could print out in the map. Yeah? If you have a Garmin Forerunner and the Garmin GPS unit on your hand is picking up every second the location when you run, it gives you thousands of GPS coordinates of XY lat longs. And you could put that in. Remember the example we did with the hurricane? It is every 6 to 8 hours a location of a hurricane mapped out. A lat long. Could be XY, lat long, whatever other measurements are there. As long as it's a coordinate system you can read. The address in a table. You're going to use a geocoder or geocoding engine or a geolocator that will translate address 100 Main Street into some cryptic XY address. Same, two different tools, pretty much the same concept. Translation of a coordinate into a object on the map. Yeah? Alright, so to close this out here. So we did the geocoding part. Then we did buffers in Pro. And we did buffers here in online. So if I close this out, let's double save this again. Saving map to content, I literally can X this out. Go back to Pro. And clean this up a little bit. That maybe is just like this. Yeah. I could also go to View, Catalog Pane. Yeah. Could go to Portal. Could go to Multi-Buffers. See that? Right click on it and say Add to Current Map. And please note, I had some issues here with my buffer locations. Yeah, it might not be the same original data. There might be some stretch going on with the coordinate system, but I just pulled in the buffers I generated in online with 2 or 3 mouse clicks. Through Portal. Catalog pane, went to Portal. It's my user logged in here, the same user I used in the Portal. So I can see all my work I've done here. So if I look at quiz and add my special parcels I generated for the quiz, those are the points I used online. Those are a match. Yeah? So that means if you would happen to get a question about, hey, take a multi-ring buffer of 500, 1,000 and 1,500 foot. Here's an address table. Geocode and multi-ring buffer. You can pick which system you want. Because they talk to each other. Remember, there's a bucket underneath the table. You can pull out, you throw one in, and you can pull out the other one on the other side. Now here's the fun fact. This is why this is really cool to play with all these different platforms. How would I do a map layout? How do I do a map layout? Insert, new layout, letter as an example. I will take my map frame, draw it on the map. Let's say the world imagery is part of this. Yeah? I don't care right now what's displayed in the map. But now I can go and say north arrow to the map, scale bar to the map. I could go in with legend if I want to. And could double click with properties and make adjustments for that. Yeah, so it looks nicer and neater. Yeah. But I used Bro for my geoprocessing for all the tools. So I used online for all the tools on the buffers and the nice color scheme. And I put a quick map in Bro together. Yeah. So in theory, I can even then say, you know what? Save as a PDF file. Oh, where was it? Print. I'm not going to do that in a test, but I could literally tell you now here, take this out as a PDF. Make it nice, title, text, etc. Yeah. If this would be an example of what you like to use for a report, to use later in a in a, let's say, Word document, you might want to move map elements like this, and you can move them nicer so you can get into a half mile. Might move them just like this and get rid of the legend or something. You can play with this next week. Get a little, really come back to one of the first sessions with map layout to make this really intriguing. And then I export this actually as a graphic. So I have high resolution available. All right? Any questions so far? So now you have been exposed how to do buffers on different platforms, and you interchange them to make your workflow even more streamlined. Again, it doesn't really matter in which platform you do this. Right now we're playing with the same coordinate system, same sandboxes, but the process is the same. Depending on how much data I have, the pro side might be a little bit more convenient for me. How complex and detailed I need it to. For the most anticipated workload we do in this class and during the program, you can use both. I would think most of you, because it feels easier to do, will stay on the online part. But I gotta expose you on both. If I don't expose you to both, you talk to about a job interview, yeah, I know GIS, and they put you in front of a PC. And I was like, how am I doing this? I only learned it in the online world. Or we don't have the online subscription. Okay, fine, problem. All right, save this. Want to do some 3D work? Nah, it's too funky for the test. But it's a cool thing to know. Huh?
Well, that's why we have help.
Yeah. No, this is, the 3D stuff is very, very happy work.
It doesn't have to do with our project right now, the test.
I think we should spend 20 minutes on it to lighten you guys up. I think I can justify that time. Yeah? All right.
Since you wanted to make it a demo test, you got it.
Remember, yeah, it's my class. Hi, welcome to my kingdom. Now, all right. So there are different ways to do GIS nowadays in 3D in GIS to give you an exposure. The book helps you with this as well. There are global scenes. This is actually, you can do this on Arc Pro. You can do this in the web, in the cloud. You can share those. There's some really cool examples for urban renewal and all that, because you have different views. You can set up different setups. And redevelopment option 1, redevelopment option 2. How is time impacting certain facing on projects? Yeah? So, what we're going to take a look at is so-called local scenes. Yeah? Here you can kind of guesstimating, even with bad contrast, that this is actually somewhat elevation. Yeah? The tin, we're not going to go to tins, but just exposure. You have seen this. But we're going to do this, digitizing features on the surface. Yeah, we're going to blend some trees. And the reason why I present this, James, is because it's super easy, almost quick and dirty GIS work to visualize projects in a simple way. You don't have to have an architectural rendering software program in the backyard on this. You can literally say, I do this in a really simplistic point of view and pop up buildings with just a few mouse clicks. So it's sometimes helpful to give that rendering. We don't have to have a perfect rendering with balconies on it, etc. But sometimes a block model helps to get an understanding what are the mass models, how is this structured. So we can use this. If we have time, based on your comment, we cut down time. We could actually now decide which tree type here is demonstrated. If you look carefully in this very tall, very small table, there's actually a street description here, but also here certain types of trees. Yeah. So like land use code would be yellow in residential, because residential is inside the table, and I assign yellow to it. I can say for every type of this tree, it's a regular leaf tree or a needle. Fir tree versus an oak. Yeah? It doesn't matter. Could be a yellow versus a blue point. Can be a library versus a bus stop. Yeah? This is the visual display of my data. And I usually want to make this as close as it really is. Remember in the quiz when I asked you to pick an awkward symbology? Because I wanted to see that you will be able to change symbology as a process. Same thing here. Yeah, so you can do all of that, street furniture, etc. if needed. Skip LiDAR, because you called me out on time. Okay, quick. LiDAR. Really cool, really expensive. Think about this, very short. You have a airplane or a tripod, works both, flying over an area, and they're shooting laser beams on the ground. They measure the time to return the laser beam. And based on how fast or how slow that returns, I get the elevation from on the ground or from a return object. Works the same thing with the police car with the radar gun. Pointing at you, they measure the distance. They know exactly how far away you are, and based on the change in distance, they know how fast you will go. Yes, please.
Does Tesla use the same technology as well?
So what?
Does Tesla use the same technology?
Tesla?
Yeah.
For what?
For autopilot.
Those are usually ultrasonic. Huh? But again, there's a distance measure, and based on parameters inside the distance measure, you execute certain rules. This right now is just measuring distance, and you go through a very complex processing point where you get then return points. And if you look carefully, that looks like here, a bunch of clouds. Yeah? We're a little talking about a point cloud. Yeah? So the point clouds then can be rendered into buildings. You can see now here, it returns the top of the building. It doesn't return the side of the building. Why? Because the airplane flies over the top of the building. Nowadays, they take pictures, regular pictures on it, and overlay that as well. So you get photorealistic 3D models accurate to centimeter, 10 centimeter levels. They're using this in mining, literally flying with drones nowadays with those LiDAR sensors. And you can see how Earth was shifting, let's say in a canyon or something. Yeah? I could put a terrestrial LiDAR scanner inside this building here, and it will scan all the computers and take a picture, and I would be able to do a 3D model of this building. Yeah? So if you look at virtual reality, get your headset on, and you walk through places, LiDAR might have been a way to produce those. Yeah? Again, you duplicate this, you create multiple clouds, you use the data for this, and here is example. This is what I've done actually for the campus here, is all these buildings here have multiple points, and the example I will show you later is, I did this for the campus, and at all the points that are inside the campus building, I took the mean value of the elevation. So if this is the point and this is the point, I take the mean value, and instead of 30 and 34, it takes 32 foot as an approximation. I don't, for visualization purposes, I don't need to have this in a perfect setup all the time. It's looking good, it's good enough. Particularly since if you do 3D virtualization, sometimes you actually elevate by 15 or 30%. To get that different perspective into the visualization. All right. Another cool thing, this is the one I mentioned earlier for some folks that have an architectural background, City Engine. Used to be expensive outside of licensing. We actually have a few licenses for those that want to play with it. It's really cool. I will show next week another mini video when I came out with this years ago. It's literally you drag and drop a neighborhood intersection and it renders the buildings on the fly. It's not like SketchUp, fixed building. No, this is rule-based. I squeeze the building footprint, the building recalculates itself. Now, here's an example. I have a rule on the building, I have descriptions in my tables, and I have rules how the facade will look like. And I have this building now here, I can rotate it if I want to. Way too complicated. I want to be simple with a mass model. No fancy facade, nothing. But I thought I'd show you guys this. Here's an example. It changes the rule, from stacked vertical blocks and building type into like an international building, same building, different facade. 2 mouse clicks and a little bit computing powers. We'll see if we get into animations today after a break. Now you can block this out into web scenes if you want to. And that's as much as I with boring PowerPoints. Alright, to organize this, you gotta go back to our download area. Alright? A download area. No one is clicking right now. This is part of it. You guys come back to click with me. Follow me, please. So, I have my GIS class on one side. And I just messed up here. Go back to my downloads. And here's my folder 3D Fun. I right click on this and say extract all. And say the location is my GIS folder. Gesundheit. And go to GIS class 2019 select folder and extract. Again, that could be a different way on your machine with the zip 7 or something. You also could go in the regular Windows system double click, drag and drop. The important way is, and I'll give you some moments here, that you end up in a folder that's called 3D Fun. Alright? Anyone with me right now? Big deep nodding. Okay. Last row, you're cool with that? I'll barely see your face, but I see you nodding of a head. Okay. Alright, what did we learn? If you get data, investigate. So, in my GIS folder here, I take a look at what's inside. So in the 3D Fun folder, I see 3 different things, folders. I see 3D Fun Setup. I see Campus for Class, GDP. And I see Fun GDP. What did I tell you about .gdb? Geodatabase. So, don't do this at home. Just look at it right now. If I double click on Campus for Class, I get this all crazy cryptic stuff. ArcGIS is managing the software for me. This is all the data I have. I don't know how many tables, I don't know how many polygons or points are included in there. If I delete 1 or 2 of those, I have a serious problem. So please, do not play with them. Okay? Don't. If I go to 3D Fun Setup, there's actually ArcGIS project file. Don't open it yet. I want to build this first. This is pretty much the final solution. Because you can see there's different stuff here. Alright. Now what I want to do is, I have apparently some data here. This is the old school ArcGIS map. This is the original model I built. I want to open up again ArcBro. I closed my ArcBro. I just want to do a fresh start. Open it up again. Then I click on map. And I call it 3D blade. Because we're going to play with this. We're going to explore. Yeah? And I locate this in my GIS bucket. GIS class. Again, there might be a more elegant version we will take a look at, but right now, whatever I've done on this computer, I can go into the GIS class 2019 folder, take that, put it on a jump drive or an external disk, and have a copy available for my work. Instead of finding it on different locations, my desktop, my documents, or somewhere else. And I click OK. Everyone with me right now? Well, this is data management, data preparation right now. Okay. Nothing special here so far. Standard pop-up. Okay. Let's take a look at a simple add data. Go straight to the file we are looking for. GIS. So now you have the 3D Blay as our current folder, and the 3D Fun as the data we've just downloaded and extracted. I go into 3D Fun, and now I can see Campus for Class and Fun as my cans. This is my symbol for geodatabase. Yeah? In this case, I double click into it, and I see a polygon that says campus with height. You guys okay? Alright, and I click OK. So to explain this to you guys, I just opened straight directly, banging the front door of a geodatabase and went into the geodatabase and got that file, that new feature class, campus with weight, campus weight. Yeah? So, was nice, it's zoomed in, you can zoom out a little bit, get rid of, let's change the color setting for you guys again. Alright, so process, what I've done is I took the whole county, yeah, and I went in and just took the parcels for this campus, went to LiDAR data, got all those points, rendered all those points, and then basically told the system calculate the mean values for the building height. If you look at the attribute table, there are some fields that are not populated, that's okay, but I have here the mean value, the minimum and the maximum of each feature here in that system. So, in the classic world, what we could do now is we take campus height, the height, go to appearance, change the symbology, let's say to graduated colors, tell the field mean C and X out and show in different colors ramps which building is more higher or less higher than the other one. Huh? Like it would be temperatures or housing values or something. Yes, please. It doesn't show? Alright, let me check her screen first and then I will show you again. Hello?
She's having a hard time.
Okay, when I go to my desk, I go to my GIS class here, it shows that it's
Yeah, so click on the 3D font. 3D, no, please click on the 3D font. Let's take a look at it. It's there. Yeah, so it's there.
okay, so I close this and then I go to my GIS
data, click on add data, yep. Go scroll down on my computer. Scroll down on computer, see. Go to this TGS class. No. Refresh your go back up. Right click refresh on 5.5. 3D font.
So I can tell you kept moving.
Alright, who else has issues?
Which one I click on?
Random colors.
That?
And then you change the field from OID to
Yeah, more than in this box, you don't see it. In this box, you don't see it. You know it's there, and you checked it, it's there.
So you can see now light colors, low, dark colors.
Trying to pay attention.
Yeah, I know.
Anything else?
That's what I wanted to do.
Gotta go for click on heights, random change. Back here, random change, go to appearance, symbology, and then choose graded colors. Change the field from OID, unique identifier, to mean C, mean. Yeah. Alright, let me do this one more time. Alright, so in a common world, this is how we do data. Yeah, this could be building values, building age. You want to show the different ages of buildings. You would show those in different brackets. You have a symbology here, let's say graduated colors. I change here now to my mean or average building height calculated with LiDAR data. And I can change the symbology or the color ramp if I want to. Yeah, let's make this in different colors here. So my yellow is now my higher values, and bluish are lower. Yeah? But this is not 3D. This is boring right now.
When you put symbology, what did you put?
Huh?
After you put symbology?
The type of symbology I use, graduated color, and then I activated the field which I want to map out, which is mean C. Yeah?
No, graduated colors. There's different ones.
Again, this is something like from the very first sessions, textbook work, one of the first do chapters, just in a different applied setup. Alright? So wait a minute. I could do this in 3D. Here, it's something grayed out right now. Look at this. It says extrusion. But it's grayed out. Why is it grayed out? Because we are not yet in a 3D work environment. Let's insert one. Insert. Under new map, there is a little arrow. I click on this and I can say new local scene. Remember the little PowerPoint I had? Global scenes, local scenes? Click local scene. So now I go into a scene mode. But I have no layers right now. Yeah?
Alright, slow down.
Slow down. For me.
Alright. If this is not working right now with the graduated symbol for you, review graduated symbology, how to select different color settings and intervals. Huh? For the purpose of getting you excited about simple 3D models, you don't have to have a perfect color scheme right now. Stop what you're doing. Follow me, please. Alright. I'm going to insert a 3D scene. Huh? Go to new, insert here, and under here, new map, I can select a new local scene. Click that, get one of those tabs open. This looks pretty much the same way we have done before work with Pro. But remember, look, it says scene 1, 3D layers, 2D layers, elevation stuff. this looks different from the map. The map right now has map, world, and then here dark stuff, or topography. Alright, we are in one big bucket. What can I do in one big bucket? Okay, think about this in a different way. You have a pool at home, or a hot tub. What do you do in the hot tub? You sit in a hot tub. Huh? You can do one thing in the hot tub. You can sit on the left and the right. It's still a hot tub, is it? Let's do this the left and right swap. So, left and right swap. Right click on my campus layer. It says copy. Instead of add data, I'm copying over. I click here on copy. I switch to scene. And I say pretty much here in scene 1, paste. Takes a moment, loads it, puts the background together, and doesn't like me right now. That's fine. Yeah? So wait a minute. I go to appearance. Yeah? This is where I say don't panic. This is expected. Because you're entering 3D. You don't know yet where in the world is your layer. Could be underneath the earth crust, because you didn't tell the earth crust or the layer where are they in elevation to each other. Huh? So here, click on campus with height, go to my appearance. Look, this is activated right now. I click on type and I say absolute height. Click this once, and it goes up with field, and I say my mean C field is my height. Now it pops up, because now it knows that if this right now would be 10 feet elevation, it will show my buildings 10 feet plus whatever height my buildings have. Right now it knows, make this really awkward, this is the curved earth. Now my banana knows it sits on top of the earth. Huh? Nobody who is watching the video now has an understanding that we just lifted up a piece of paper and a banana. Huh? Alright, so now I go here to map and explore, navigate. I can move my map usually like this. Yeah, I can zoom in. It's getting slower and slower and slower because it's eating up your computing powers. And now I can move this guy around. Come on, rotate. Let's go back to campus. It doesn't want to tilt. Yeah.
You hold the scroll button down, and then you use your mouse.
Now you can see that. Now the 3D part comes in. Yeah. You can actually tilt these. Alright. So now I have actually my campus here right now in 3D. I can change the base map if I want to. Let's make this example here and zoom closer. That's good enough. Again, this is maybe not completely lining up with what you see in the background. That's how you do a very simple 3D model. It's just the building height. But let's say if the building's height is not good enough for us, we could change that. No. Go back to appearance and click here on the calculation button. Yeah. I could now say, listen, this is my building height. I want to have this times 1.5 factor to overscale it. Yeah? Because depending on the perspective and the rendering, my building might look too flat proportionate to its building footprint. Yeah? So now this changed slightly. You can see this here with the college. Slightly changed this.
So your yellows get higher than your
Yeah. So if I do Shift and right click, I even can rotate. Let's make this exercise again here. Look at the different heights here relatively to my mouse cursor. Yeah. If I do this 1.15, it will shrink slightly. Huh?
What might you use this for? Just for visual purposes or scaling?
Visual purposes, small mass model. As in here, this is what we envisioned for a small development. You can do this as a mixed-use development and say, here, these are the 3 office buildings and the 2 residential units as color-coded. Huh?
Just kind of shows the relationship between spatial.
Yeah. Let's take a 5-minute break. And we go for the next fun level. And then you go back a little bit in data management or in your projects, depending on where you struggle. So it's pretty straightforward. When you think, like someone asked, hey, why would you do this? Well, first of all, when I go here to view, I have here my navigator pane. I can change a few things around. I can use Shift and Control to navigate and zoom in, or flip with left and mouse clicks. Yeah, all this. That's nice. But what if I want to tell a story? What if I want to actually do this with fixed angles and fixed perspectives and views? So what I could do, as an example, I navigate this thing like this, do a close-up like this, and why not to say animation add. Now this is one of those examples where you take a look at what else is given here on this board. You can even change the drawing mode if you want to for those in architecture. Yeah, see now? Yeah, different setups. But I want to do an animation right now. Add animation. Give it a moment. And it has all these different complicated elements. I don't care right now. I care about this one. Snapshot. So I can do this. Do a snapshot. Maybe move my camera like this. Do another snapshot. Now one. In theory, it should start. Why are you not? Let me do this again. If you don't do this on a regular basis, so now I can actually tilt this again.
If you don't use GIS on a regular basis, you use it, right?
Huh? Yeah.
You use GIS a lot, you use it so much.
Now I should add the next keyframe too.
I have a different view on the bottom of the screen.
Ah, here we go. Yeah, so I zoom in, add keyframe, rotate, zoom out, add keyframe. Run it. Different view on different screens. Yeah? With some hiccups right now, but you get the message. I can actually do a building footprint, get the guesstimated height based on certain input factors in, have a simplified 3D model, and now I can fly through this with just setting keyframes. But depending on your computer screen layout, you actually have to set this up the right way. On a larger screen, it's more easy. Yeah? You also can go now and say, again, change the view, change the drawing mode. If you now run this whole thing again, it will change the whole thing in a different drawing mode for you. You can export that as an animation movie and put that into a PowerPoint as an example. Yeah? So, really cool thing. Let's save this and exit out. Thanks for the help. Thanks for the pointers, Andrew. I'm doing this at home with a big screen attached to it, and I'm doing class on the screen. Office is different. It's, for me, the stress factor is how will it look like for you guys on my computer. All right, to make life simple. Yeah? Yes, please. Let me do this later. Huh? Let's go in here in the 3D Fun Setup folder. As you can see, there has been some work done. I'm going to click on the 3D Fun Setup, ArcGIS Pro. Yeah, you can see there's a total overload with different panes and all that. Let's click out, exit out a few things. Get rid of the animation. Alright. So, what I have here in scene in scene, I have the campus example again. Yeah? Renders it. Yeah? Different color codes, different setups. Again, if you want to deal with animation, go with View, go to Animation, and then with Animation, in the whole toolbar of Animation and Workline, you actually have the export functions. Yeah? I can look that up for you in detail if you're interested in that. Yeah? But the interesting thing is how to rotate this on a movie and then export this here. Export, you can do this and later. Yeah? Alright, X out here, save some time. Let's take a look at map. Does this look familiar to you guys? Anyone? Does this look familiar? Never seen it before? Oh man. Alright, let's take a look at what I delivered to you guys. Alright, let's do this step by step. Let's dissect this. Alright? Topography map. It's all over the place. It's our own little universe, so it has no idea. Alright? So, you might have seen this before. In this room, everyone but Chase has seen this.
I've seen this.
Yeah, you did this last year. Oh, but you, yeah, two. Alright, so basically what I've done here is use the PDF file, changed it, and basically put it into a somewhat system of referencing. Alright? Then I said, okay, fine, let's do those different blocks. Huh? Remember, we have 6 development blocks, 6 development blocks. Huh? Again, really, really interesting, not so much, but you could go in and say, okay, fine, how they look like differently in the attribute table. Just block 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Nothing special. Wait a minute, then there's this UP fishnet. Yeah? Let's take a look at it, it's simple. So I used the function of creating a so-called fishnet. It's like one of the chapter 2 or 3 is mentioning fishnets to use density tools. Yeah? I use this simulating like what we have is the patterns with those Duplo Lego blocks. Yeah? Then, those are the blocks, those are your reference area. Then I said, well, what about the buildings? And again, this is because I tracked and dropped it from somewhere else. Not as sexy as you would think, because it's not as yellow, blue, and etc. But let's say the homeless shelter, we could change this into a bright orange or something like this, like we use it on the blocks. Yeah? Again, buildings. Digitized rectangles following the grid pattern, looking at the attribute table. The building has a name, a height, also another number associated with the stories, if I want to go height versus stories, yeah, and some internal management as shape and length.
You gave a name?
I gave the name. Add field, name, text field, 25 characters, something like that. Yeah, height as well, number fields, stories, number fields. This is a process we already did. Create, let's say in the quiz, create a feature class or layer called places. Name the pool. Yeah? That's the process here. Okay. So that's nice. They're sitting there. But remember, hey, this is something about 3D. Alright. Well, did you click on scene 1 yet? Scene 1 is this whole thing in 3D. Same principle like we did for the campus buildings. We defined a certain height, visualize them as blocks. Let's put this in perspective on the site plan so you can see a little bit. This is north-south. Yeah? And the sexiness of the luxury condominiums doesn't exist right now because I didn't form them as yellow. Let's do a bright yellow on this one so you can see that. Yeah? I pretty much put parking and the tower on the same base. That is the Lego. Yeah? So look at this. One is counter parking, one is residential. The lighter one is residential. Same base. Just right into each other. So that's the reason why the rendering gives me those artifacts. If I rotate this a little bit, if I rotate this around, you can see the rendering is not perfect. But that's okay. I still visualize this whole thing as my building. Yeah? Alright, so let's move this a little bit more. What if I don't like this building here? What if I want to do this guy, put it over there in block 1? I can go to the edit, like we did for digitizing, click on modify, click on move, select those two guys. I'm hoping I select both of them. Can double check this here with the list of selections. This is opening the door of how we select in the map. Buildings is the only element I can select. I have two because this is one big building. Yeah. I move this thing over there. Move this thing over there. Double click is the end to end. Double click. Oh, wait a minute. I just changed my data. Save. Go to scene 1. My whole building block just moved. Kyle is not impressed. He's looking at this, so yeah, so what? Yeah? Well, to keep this simple, I can rotate if I want to, or whatever. Also, since it's selected, I can. Where was the copy? Where's my duplicate? Control C, Control V, double click, move over. And can actually duplicate this piece by piece if I want to. Yeah. Same thing here with animation. View, animation, add, enter our keyframe, zoom in, say we want to rotate, and zoom out a little bit, add that as a keyframe, run it. Now you can see that you have to play with the keyframes a lot, but that's how you could visualize actually your project for the other class. That's one way to do it. So there's one thing you guys haven't asked yet about. What's the pointy points? So pointy points on my map here. Let's get rid of the edit session. Save for a moment. All the pointy points here right now. I don't really know what it is, but again, that point is an XY that long on my map. In my 3D scenery, I can go in and say pointy points are now palm trees. Huh? Or if I don't like palm trees, and in 3D, search for trees. Search for trees. Same computer like last night. Here we go. All styles, tree. I basically say, you know what? Maybe I take something different. Yeah? I could now go in with my attribute table if I want to and add a field what type of tree I want to choose for what type of symbology. Yeah? I could say short palm tree, tall palm tree, and place them in different setups so I actually have now two different types of trees in 3D renderings in your scenery. This is as fast and as simplistic I want to do 3D with you guys. Two different examples just to open up your minds. Hey, you can do that. Huh? We can export this into a 3D web layer, web scene in Arc Online. We'll do this next week as more a fun factor. All right. Any questions about your projects at this moment?
Yes. I don't think my parcel really. It's hard to find.
Hard to find?
Yes. So like I look.
All right. So while this is adding a file right now for you guys, so I did take the 2018 data from Broward County, parcel-based data, like the boundary lines for a project. And so it's right now on the back background. It's uploading for you into Canvas, so you don't have to do all these different crazy steps. Let me show you how and where to find this if you want to do current data. For the training exercises 2018 we are uploading right now, it's perfectly fine. So remember the site, Broward County GIS, download GIS data. So if you scroll down, and you go down to parcels, yeah, it says parcel data is available from the properties appraiser's office for free. So we go the old school way. Click here, say, hey, yeah, cool, accept this. Yeah. Now you get all of this. Hey, didn't you say it's for free? Well, our GIS parcel data submission is available with no charge at the Florida Department of Revenue. All of Florida parcel data is there. Gold mine, bing, bing, bing. Click on here. Yeah. Gotta go through this system. Gotta find it. Gotta also have a little bit of nose what you're looking for. Huh? Go through this, go through this. You might not find it. Have we missed somewhere the GIS? Yes, we missed the GIS. Huh? So if you could download here for GIS, you have to find it. You go through all these elements, download current assessment rules and GIS data. Go down here, you get through all these different elements. Yeah? Access rules, GIS files published. Let's go here, publish, click. If you haven't seen this before, it's because you're too young. This is the file transfer protocol, FTP sites. Yeah? So now you have to go through all of this. Let's say here the 2018. You go all through this. Need to know where you're at. Broward. Don't see Broward. Yeah. Damn it. Yeah. Damn it. Go to parent directory maybe. Maybe it's a 2019 distribution. Well, don't see it right now. Bradford, Brevard, Calhoun. No. Good thing. Good thing that your old professor has a copy. Alright, so meanwhile, so you would go down this, you see this is all zip files again. Yeah? So now you would take that zip file, let's say for date, download this, extract, use the GIS data. So what I did is here, still uploading, I created the Broward 2018 pin here. It's about 600 something megabyte in size as a zip file. Yeah? So for the exercise purpose here, in terms of timing, let me demonstrate what I would do if you have a specific site of interest. Okay? While it's uploading, you can download this. Please, if you want to avoid heart attack issues for your professor when he looks at his ArcGIS online site, do not upload this data set into the online world at its full extent. Yeah? It eats up credit after credit after credit after credit. It's not absolutely no beneficial use for that.
So basically saying
Don't take the whole Broward County. I want to show you how to do just the neighborhood of interest. They can use that in any form you want. But if you want to put the whole county up, I will send you a nice email and say, listen, we need to talk. Because I'm paying thousands of points right now for you 10 seconds of happiness. It's not gonna work. Yeah, of course. So, while it's going, why would you do this?
No, why would I upload the GIS point that I got from Broward County into the online world? Why not just use it in the ARC world?
Well, maybe because I don't like ArcPro at all and want to do everything I would want to do in my online GIS world. Because for the final project, I don't limit you guys on the platform. If you want to do an overview map, do it in any platform you feel comfortable with and handling with. So let's do this ArcPro. Give you an idea. There are also some tricks behind the scenes how to speed up the system. Huh? So if I open up a simple map, and right now I'm really boring, lazy, I'm just putting default. Huh? Will come back and bite me in my butt. I add my data. And for me right now, I know it's on my local machine. Buffer example takes a moment. And this is all of Broward. This is also all the GIS points of Broward. Yeah. So I do this. Add. So now I can see it takes some time to build up all the visuals. Yeah. All right. So if I see this, how it starts building up, every little subdivision parcel is built in, even the pavement. Let's say I want to do this just for the campus. This is the area of interest I have. Yeah. I could use different ways to do this. Let's see if I have other data in this one. Nah, let's do it manually. Manually first. If I do now here all the parcels I have interest in my area, yeah, and I don't really care how it will look like, because I will zoom in and it will be awesome just to get the boundary lines. I can go and use select. Before I use select, I check that only my Broward parcels is available. I click select, and right now there's different ways to select. Yeah, like a rectangle. And right now I just draw a rectangle of the area of interest and select. Will take a moment because it's a large data set. You can see that button here, rotating, rotating, rotating. So everything highlighted right now was touched by my select rectangle. Yeah. Here's the trick. I have right now 4,645 elements selected in that little 3 by 3 miles. Yeah? If I open my table right now, it's the 4,000 something selected out of the almost 800,000. So why would I use, every time I refresh a map on campus, data access to almost 800,000 points, or polygons in this case? Doesn't make sense. So there's a trick to that. I right click on this guy, say data, export features, actually selection. Nope, export. Always export. Yeah? Did I miss this?
No, go down to your little selection, bottom right. No, go all the way down. And your attribute table, down. Go to the right, to your left. A little small down, way down, under 37. The box over. Under 37, the little box under 37. Click that.
No, that just shows my selections.
Yeah, and then you're going to up for the right and the menu tab on the side, I believe. On the right there.
Yeah, but that's exporting only the table.
No, only the selected.
Same function. No, it's copying the rules. Same function. They're different ways. Let's do it your way first. I'm all about students doing this in different ways. Okay, output table. See that this is a table. Input rows, output. This is a table.
That's the table.
Yeah, this is the table. Data, export, features. Yeah. Huh? So now I want to say, okay, fine, this is just local select. Huh?
But is it going to what you selected only?
Normally, in a normal world, it will take my selection.
That's why I was saying that the other way. That's the way I was saying.
Boop. Click OK. Now I unselect. I have only that element of my selections. As dirty it is can be. Yeah? Alright, so now, what does he mean with all of this? What's the purpose of this? Well, my local select now, change the symbology, make this transparent looking, let's say black outline, could do a green outline, yeah, and put my topographic map again on it, or map, base map, imagery. Now Chase will see if this would be your property for your study area. Now you can see where are the property lines.
Can we look it up? Can we like find the address right now and I can read it to you?
Yeah, maybe. Maybe. 1 0
0599 Sterling Road, Cooper City, Florida. Sterling Road with an I, not an
Sterling Road.
Yeah, Sterling has an I, not an E.
Yeah, yeah.
Instead of an E, an I.
That might help.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah.
Well, they just throw Fort Lauderdale
Yeah.
to make it look good.
Does this look like your property?
Right, see, so the point it gives you is right there.
Yeah, but this is a street address.
Right.
This is not a point
But there's,
address.
Like, I literally grew up 5 minutes from there. There's a ton of different places. There's a reason, like all those buildings is a rehabilitation.
Alright, let's do the same thing again. For imagery right now, we set this off because we take some fast work. You do Broward County. Yeah, tada, you actually have multiple parcels here, see? So now, you do a select, rectangle, make sure Broward County is only selectable. Just a quick overview here. Select will take a time because it goes to 800,000 points, or data points, sorry. Yeah. Not following James's example, we are going again through data.
I'm sorry.
Just teasing you. I rather explore 5 tools with a student. Hey, let's go because you actually went into a different tool or a different route. And the learning experience is, if you need the table, yes, we can do this. If you want to have the physical boundaries, we got to do the other way around.
And the other way around.
Yeah.
Data, you got to look at
Data, export features. In this case, it's the selected areas. Output is Chase local area.
So you use the selection tool.
Yep.
Select your area, then you go to the. And this is going to save it in the project folder for you.
Yep. Alright, so I'll do the same thing. Disable things. Take the big one away. Have that area of interest. I could clean this up if I want to. Yeah. But if I want to have that just as an overview, even for a screenshot, change the symbology.
But did that outline all the parcels even? But it looked like the outline of the roads too. Is that considered a parcel?
Yeah, Broward County does this. Remember when I talked about pavement? I can click on this road segment here and I can tell you what's the size of the area and I know exactly how much pavement I need.
Yeah, I understand why they still do it, working in the city, what had to do that.
But see, this is a data dump from the county. They're not putting cosmetics on the public. They're just saying, this is a free data set, take it or work it your own way. So, same thing here, Chase. Change, let's say, the outline. Put back the imagery. Now you could say, you know what, this is the parcel of interest.
But it's
Yeah.
only half of that.
I'm not so sure.
Because that's a 6-acre parcel, I believe.
Okay.
That's what the sign says on the side of the road. It says 6.3 acres, but then there's a listing for 2 different 3-acre parcels on the
Then it's going to be these ones.
But they have the same exact star. Like, it's very, like...
Something to investigate. But again, this is how you would show, I have multiple parcels here. Yeah. Or let's make this up an example here down there. I don't have that here. If you would say, I want to develop along this stretch, I would have to have these 6 parcels accumulated into a new subdivision.
Yeah.
Yeah? And I'm more than happy to help you with this and how to read this exact parcel. Yeah?
So if I call the guy and I'm like, I'm doing a project...
Seriously, I would bother them. They might even come back in and say, hey, can you do that for me?
5 minutes from there, like my house.
Yeah? So again, for everyone here in the room, this simple exercise, I provided the 2018 data on Canvas for you guys. If you download this locally, unzip locally, you get this whole thing for Broward County. Yeah? And we just showed that we can do 2 different localized areas in about 5 to 10 minutes prep, so you actually can show boundary lines and environments, as in surroundings, if you choose to do that. Don't have to do this in 3D, but it might be a little bit easier to say, you know what, this is my site. Currently here I have 4 major parcels, and the focus is one or the other all combined. I want you to demonstrate the GIS on this. So this would be one way to say, hey, I demonstrated a selection of a larger data set to get a subsample and display an overview map. Look at this, I'm like, someone really did some work, rather than just a Google Maps screenshot, because this is actually real GIS work on top of that. Because Google does not show you the different parcels. Alright? So we have about 10 more minutes. More than happy to give quick support for GIS project. Also, if there's interest in finding maybe a evening, let's say Tuesday or Wednesday night, 6 till 8 instead of regular office hours, I'm more than happy to come in here in the computer lab and sit with you guys and do on the screen work and give pointers. Yeah?
Are you definitely gonna be here?